gang, how's it going? This is Suraj here, representing the Final Say. Today's discussion is going to revolve around something we touched upon in the podcast. We spoke briefly about the transfer market and the impact that is going to have under the pandemic, what we expect teams to consolidate a bit more. One of the options available to teams, and always has been, but maybe utilised a bit more, will be the youth systems that each team in the Premier League possesses. So without further ado, I want to talk about 5 particular players in the Premier League that have started to emerge or establish themselves this season, but I expect them to really kick on next season. So I'm going to start off with Gabriel Martinelli. Now, this is an 18-year-old starlet from Arsenal. He is a Brazilian wonder kid. He's about 5'11", fairly direct in his style of play, very typical of any Brazilian in the sense that he has flair, a bit of aggression, techie in that sense. Not only can he sort of play through the middle, he also can play as wing forward on the left-hand side. He doesn't have a bad crossing ability at all, so, you know, there's a couple of facets to his game. Now, interestingly, he actually trialled for Man United on several occasions, I believe it was 4, over the period of 2015 to 2017, and actually trained with their team for 15 days. He wasn't successful in his trials with United and continued to apply his trade in his domestic land of Brazil. He was picked up by Arsenal for £6 million, which is proving to be quite a tidy sum of money, considering the talent they seem to possess in Martinelli. The Gunners probably won't be happy if they lose Aubameyang. However, in Martinelli lies a silver lining. His emergence has caught the attention of Ronaldinho, who has likened the attitude of Martinelli to that of another Brazilian legend, Ronaldo. So he certainly got them excited. He's got the Arsenal fans excited. And to be honest, I'm excited to see what Martinelli will bring for the duration of the season if it continues, but more importantly next season as we look to see these players develop and give us a bit more. So that's Martinelli. Okay, continuing on, the next one I'm going to look at is Mason Greenwood. So this is the 18-year-old prodigy coming out of Man United's youth academy. Very exciting times for them. There's big buzz around this particular player. From what little we've seen and the glimpses we've seen of him, he looks very, very good. So the comparisons were drawn by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Paul Scholes and likened with a certain Mr. Robin van Persie, and this would be in relation to his ball striking technique. I imagine how composed he looks on the ball, the fact that he seems to find the net fairly well, left foot and right foot, both footed, both strong, very clean striking, and he is a young talent and a potential future international. So he carries on the proud tradition that Man United actually have. So in 2019, December last year, Man United hit their 4,000th consecutive game, whereby they're featuring youth products, so either in the first team or the matchday squad. To put that into context, that's 90 years of football with youth built into the DNA of Man United. So it would be fair to say that the grass is green, with Mason continuing that trend. Next, I'd like to talk about Bukayo Saka. Now, this is an Arsenal product. This is an 18-year-old again. We've already mentioned another one. Interestingly, Arsenal actually have a few up-and-coming players. You've got Willock, you've got Nketiah, you've got Saliba, all who I think should feature next season or have a chance or be able to showcase some of what they bring to the squad. But for me, the most exciting prospect in Arsenal's system at the moment is definitely Sakho. I love the way he plays. He's very great trickery, great dribbling skills. What's impressive is he seems mature. So some players you get that are young, they're up and coming, they sort of get given an opportunity, they're very excitable. Maybe decision making goes sort of it comes with time and experience. But the thing about Sakho is he looks already good mentally, which, you know, with being young and having the abilities that he has, he's a bit of a dribbler. He's very sure in his own skill set. It's going to work fantastically for him. So out of all the products that Arsenal currently have, Sakho for me is one that would definitely bomb on next season. I can see him doing good things. He's actually kept out Tierney, who Arsenal purchased for £25 million, I believe it was. And it's been a revelation, Sakho, in keeping out a player bought in for the left back position. And I see good things for Sakho, so I definitely will be following him. Next on my list will be Billy Gilmour. So this is the Chelsea youngster who literally had his first senior appearances just before the pandemic struck. He played an FA Cup game, he had 3 Premier League appearances. And in that short time, he picked up a Man of the Match award. I don't know if you remember Chelsea thrashing Everton 4-0, and he was one of the main instigators in controlling that game and distributing and really having a say, and obviously warranted the Man of the Match award. He's been compared to Xavi and Iniesta as well by the Chelsea fans, so maybe that's a little bit premature, but you can see why they're excited. And in such a short amount of time, in such a limited amount of appearances, we suddenly seem to have a player that has come almost out of nowhere. I'm sure obviously Chelsea were well aware of him being in their ranks, but he's come out of nowhere to assume this sort of position. And if it wasn't for the pandemic that we're suffering, I could honestly think Gilmour would have an exceptional second half to this season if he continued to be utilised. So for me, next season, Billy Gilmour is definitely going to be a player you want to keep your eye on. And if he continues the level of maturity and performances that he's shown so far for Chelsea in his limited senior career, I think we will all be excited by this particular prospect. He is a Scottish national, and I imagine he will be a Scottish international not too soon. Exciting times for the player in the club. Okay, and lastly on my list is Phil Foden. Now, the difficulty with Phil Foden that he faces, he does make my list, but the biggest difficulty will be whereas Man United, Arsenal and Chelsea are all in some form of transition, both managerially, having new blueprints, having a different sort of philosophy placed down, using or utilising the youth where they can. Chelsea had a transfer ban, they were almost forced into it slightly. Both Arsenal and United are the types that want to play their youth in, certainly in FA Cups, etc. And if they're good enough, they get shown, opportunities in their first team. The difference with Phil Foden, who's a 19-year-old English centre midfielder for Man City, is he's up against some very, very difficult competition. Now, he is rated by the manager. He does get some game time, but we're talking about, 18 minutes in the current season in the Premier League. If Phil Foden gets the game time that I feel that he will probably warrant next season, then I really expect him to kick on too, because he's not going to get as many opportunities as maybe some of the others in the other teams will. He will have to prove himself fairly quickly. Hence the reason why he's been brought in so softly. That approach has been very gentle with Foden, and Pep's been sort of nurturing him very, very slowly, almost slower than you'd like, to the sense that you want to see what this kid's all about. In the glimpses that we have seen of Phil Foden, he looks certainly warranting the quality of all the other guys we've mentioned so far. So those are our 5 players to look through. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Feel free to subscribe,